If you've just joined us, it is 20 minutes after 11 p.m. Central Africa time. Tonight, we welcome a visionary, a storyteller who doesn't just use words, but movement, memory, and the body itself. Joining us is an internationally acclaimed Gregory Maqoma, who is a dancer, a choreographer, director, and a cultural force born in Soweto. Now, Gregory's journey into dance began in the late 1980s during a time of intense political unrest, specific to South Africa, where movement became both refuge and resistance. Now, from training at movement into dance, or rather from training at movement into dance, to founding the groundbreaking Vuyani Dance Theatre, he has shaped a language of dance that is deeply African, globally resonant, and emotionally powerful. A recipient of multiple awards, I must add, this including the Standard Bank Young Artist Award, and honored by international brands as well. And we'll get to that in just a short bit. For now, Gregory, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to African Diaries.
Thank you. What a pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
So Kitty and I were just talking, that is my producer, and we were just saying there is no one at the stage who shows us what excellence in your gift looks like Gregory. I feel like you are living in the prime, and your prime isn't seasonal. It has been continuous. Am I wrong in thinking that?
Oh, well, I think I take it as an accolade and I appreciate it very much. But, I grind and every day for me is work. And I think that's what puts me apart and sets me apart because I take every project as a stepping stone to something greater.
What are you working on now?
I'm even sometimes ashamed because it's just multiple projects I'm working on at the same time. Currently, I'm in London, in the UK. I'm working on a production with theatre rights. The production is called Return to the Forest. And at the same time, I'm on a research and development for another production called Orfeo, which will be at Glenbourne, also here in the UK, with William Kentridge, who's a South African artist. Then on the other part of the world, through Zoom and other forms of communications, my assistant, Chanel Winlock, is in Russia, in a beautiful city called Nizhny Novgorod, which she's helping to set up my new work called The Demon, which is created on a company there.
I mean, I want to unpack all three projects, right? Let's start off with Return to the Forest. Sounds very enchanting. Yes. What is the work about and what inspired you and drew you to this kind of work?
Well, Return to the Forest, we've been in discussions around what museums holds and the artifacts and what needs to be returned. There's been this conversations that has been going on for quite some time now. Who owns what and who has access to whose story? And museums, as we know, they hold our histories, they hold our memories. And for me, I was just thinking about who has access to these things, and particularly, those stolen artifacts that were taken from the African continent, from other parts of the world, and they sitting in these museums and really being treated as ornaments and things that have been viewed as owned by others who have not really given themselves a better understanding of those ornaments, because some of those things are precious to us. They are part of our religion, they are part of our cultures and traditions. And when they are displayed there, they are lost in translation. And I was wondering, how can we create work and sensitize the world about the lost world, which I call it, because it's a world that has been denied and refused, but also found its other premises in other spaces, like a museum. But that museum is very selective to the very few who can be able to access it. So it was important for me to be able to create a work that was sensitizing us, one, as Africans, but also as people who have been in the conversations around culture, around traditions that has been lost, and how can we start reclaiming those spaces for ourselves and tell the stories in the best way that we can, so that we could be understood and may not be misinterpreted like we've been in the past.
Absolutely.
So Return to the Forest is an attempt to return all that has been stolen back to its origins, place of origin.
That sounds rather beautiful. I'm just trying to picture how you interpret the return of perhaps the Magdala treasures from Ethiopia. The Benin ivory mask that's held at the British Museum. Like, I want to know, how do you, what movement would signify that return? Walk us through that.
So, I mean, we start we literally set the piece in a museum as we start, and then everyone is welcoming that museum space, and everyone is walking through it, and then the performers gather together and they plan haste, where they start literally looting on those items that are in a museum. It could be the British Museum, it could be any museum in the world. And in their quest to go for these items, they also now find clues in order for them to go into a forest. And in the forest, they meet other wise people coming from our ancient times, and they tell them how to return these items back to their places of origin. So really, if we take an audience on a journey of learning, but also of tolerance and of understanding that in the process of taking these items, a lot has been taken away. It's not just the item. There's a whole lot of history that has been erased. And we are reminding people that we need to be very conscious in how we treat each other and how we can best, out of this experience, be able to look at other cultures with much more respect and honor.
Gregory, at this stage, just take me with you, Claire. Put me in your handbag, because I can't imagine that piece taking place in a museum and then this whole heist around me. And then what is it? Where is it going to be sort of set? Is it only happening in London where you are currently? Are we going to see it go throughout the continent as well? Walk us through that. Where can people expect to see this particular production?
Yeah, it will premiere in Manchester. And I mean, we're hoping that the work will go. It will be at a factory in Manchester. It's an immersive experience because we're moving through spaces in the factory. So it's not just set. It's not in the conventional space of a theater. We take an audience through different spaces and allowing them to experience the work in different forms. But it's also open to children, because we need to see the future through the eyes of the children, so that they don't repeat the very same mistakes that we have done. And I think this is a better lesson to teach children through arts. For them to better appreciate the wrongs of the past, the wrongs of the adults, because we're such stubborn beings, we never listen. And so we're hoping that our children can learn and be able to teach us about all these things that we're battling with. And then it will come to London at the Settlers Wells.
Yo, I know I'm flying out, please, because what do you mean? I never give me this one. I am not missing that one. Let's move
Freaking
on
out.
to the next. In actual fact, let's take a quick breather for those who have just been captivated by a return to the forest. Take a moment to think about it. Are you flying out? Yes, no, maybe. Tell us on WhatsApp +278 3288 6684. The voice there of dancer, choreographer, director, and cultural force. Of course, South Africa's own, I suppose, and an export of great value to the world over. His name is Gregory Maqoma, joining us this evening. Let's take a quick breather. We are still in conversation with Gregory Maqoma, dancer, choreographer, director, author, and cultural force. South Africa's very own, representing the continent internationally. And we're going to be talking about more of his pieces, his productions, and how they're taking center stage in various parts of the world. Let's talk about Lofeo, Mr. Gregory.
Yeah,
What can we expect?
Ophelia.
Yes.
Yeah, it's an opera that is going to be set in Glenbourne later in the year. In fact, in June, it's going to open there. It's set in such a beautiful, serene environment. It's basically a house that was bought by migrants in the UK who thought, now we need a space where we can allow ourselves to immerse in culture, and opera became like a means of survival for them. So Orfeo is a very old Greek mythology, and it's probably one of the first written or well-known written operas, which was written in 1607. And really, it's based on this Greek mythology of Orpheus, who descends down underground to find his newly found love, and it becomes a disaster. Really, he doesn't come back, and so it becomes disastrous in a sense. And I was just thinking about also how many of faith, how much we hold on faith, how much we hold on things, on leadership, on people who we put and look up to, and then we put them up on the pedestals, and they continue to be failures and disasters in our lives. So fail is really, symbolic in that sense. And when William Kentridge invited me to be part of this, I immediately said yes, because it was already responding to the kind of ideas that I was talking about. But as much as it was such an old Greek mythology, I felt that it was still speaking to the times now. And I think it's an opportunity for us to find ways in which we can relate it to today, and how the many failures, the many of people that we've put faith on and have failed us.
Gregory, we're talking about an opera, and
Yes.
this is a piece that's coming together. So my brain is like, are you singing here as well? What's going on?
Yeah. I guess, as an artist, I've allowed myself to be immersed by different stories, by different genres, and allowing a genre like opera to really take form as a vehicle, because we want to amplify these messages. And I think there's no better genre that can help us amplify these messages than opera, because it's music, it's libretto, it is voices that are at their extreme range. So they reach that levels that no ordinary person can go to. It's an extraordinary in terms of what voice is able to do in opera. And if we want to amplify these messages, I found that opera is probably one of the genres that is helping us to to reach those who might not be listening, to somehow, if you wake up in the morning by a sound of birds, you don't forget the the sound of a beautiful bird, and it wakes you up, it soothes you, but also sometimes it distracts you from a dream. So I think opera does that for me. It's like, how do we create these distractions in this world and allow something that can be beautiful but also haunting?
Wow. And can you sing, sir?
I can't. I sing in the shower. I sing loud in the shower, and I love singing in the shower because I'm alone usually in the shower.
Let's talk about that.
So I can make all those mistakes.
Sure. Let's talk about that very last production. You mentioned 3. One that takes us to Russia, I believe it is.
Yeah, the Demon. So the Demon is premiering next week. So I'm actually in 2 worlds at the moment because I'm in creation, but also thinking about the premiere. But I have my beautiful colleague, Chanel Willock Perlman, who's already like putting it together there. But the Demon also arrived really at the right time because I was thinking about what's going on in the world. And when I was invited by this company in Russia, I thought about what is it I'm going to make for your company, which is a classically trained company. It's a ballet company. And I wanted to make something that was going to question the status quo of the politics in that country, but also the status quo of the politics around the world, and search for the light where there is darkness. As we know that we associate the demon with the darkness. So I wanted to find the light in the demon. And I think that's the premise of this work, is to find the light where there is darkness.
Mr. Gregory, time is pressed against us, but before you leave us, before we release you back into your very busy schedule, I want you to appeal to those who may not have tasted the glory that comes with living in your gift, because I do think that that's your narrative, right? You are busy doing 10,000 things at the same time. You're winning all the time. It's international awards. It's happening, everything at the same time. For someone who's saying, I want to get to that place. I want to live in the prime of my gift. I want to believe in my gift strongly enough, convicted enough to be able to see its glory. What would you say to them?
I think the first thing that I will always say to people is that don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. If your mind is set into something, go for it. Failure is a way in which we can know how to do it better the next time. So if you fail today, I promise you the next time you get into it, you will do it much better. You have to fall off that falls 10 times in order for it to be able to move with you.
Sure. And just ending us on a very high note, do you want to maybe give us one song there that you sing in the shower? Just a little bit. Just a little bit, something, something for us to start our Friday with. You know what I mean?
You just put me on spot.
Something.
No, but you know what?
Yeah.
I'm working with something Soweto at the moment. Yeah, I'm putting the vision for his show that's coming up at the Joburg Theatre. So, and there's this song that I've been singing in the shower. It's called Dela.
Okay.
Dela. Oh no, I'm.
Let's go. We're having fun with it. Let's go.
Oh no. I'm not gonna do this to myself because I know I'm the worst singer. No, so I'll leave you with that. Go and listen to that song.
Absolutely. Mr. Gregory, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
The voice there of Gregory Maqoma, who is a dancer, choreographer, an author, director, and of course a cultural force representing South Africa globally. And what I love about his work is that the depth of the story brings us closer. I absolutely think that that is something that we need to see in society. Whatever it is you do, whatever your particular forte is, whatever industry you find yourself in, may the work of your hands bring people together, not for the purposes of bonding per se, but let your glory shine such that people want to be in your light. Let's take a quick breather, some music. Maybe we might get that Something Soweto song going through there. It is 18 minutes before the show comes to an end.